And we're live.
And here we go, everybody. Sorry, just getting some content in the content game up on BearcatJournal.com. I'm Chad Brendel. He's Aaron Smith. We're going to use this as our nightcap for the night. I think it would be a little more prudent to go live with everybody. Why wait? Why wait until later tonight when we can just bring it to you right now live as things happen? And the good news is Cincinnati has landed a commitment from Memphis transfer wing Landers Nolley, and they have now filled up. Oh, come on. I don't have time for this. Sorry. Aaron, talk for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, so this changes everything for the basketball team. I mean, you essentially steal a guy who was a dude at Memphis, and you give some legitimacy to both the recruiting chops of this staff, as well as you take so much pressure off of David DeJulius.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big thing, right? Is this is a team that, as we know, was challenged offensively last season ago. And with Nolley, you find a young man that knows how to put the ball in the basket, has been first team all league in the American. So you're more than aware that he can fill it up at this level, can be productive at this level. And I tell you what, like it makes a massive, massive impact on the Cincinnati roster going into the 2022-23 season. And also, I mean, technically, he's got a COVID year as well. So he could be on the team as Cincinnati transitions into the Big 12 a year from now. So, you know, it's a big one for Wes Miller, and it shows when everybody was freaking out at the beginning of the transfer portal process. And I told him, have some patience. There was a plan. You went out with the first commit, Kalu Ezekpe. You got some size. You got some rebounding. You got some physicality. You had Rob Finney, who gives you defense, you know, toughness, leadership at the point guard position. And then you circle around now to Landers Nolley, and you get a 6'7" wing that can shoot, can score at all three levels, has had success in the ACC, has been a first-team all-conference performer in the American, and boom, in, 3 weeks, you have completely changed the look of this roster for next season, which that was the goal, right?
I think everyone anticipated the roster to look different. This significantly changes everything. I mean, you got a guy who's been up for a ton of awards. He's been 4th and 6th in the conference in points, 9th and 11th in points per game.
That's pretty good, I think.
Here's a question for you, Chad. Is this the biggest is this the highest profile transfer for UC ever?
James White.
James White, okay.
And James White was a McDonald's All-American. He won the McDonald's Slam Dunk Contest. You know, he came from Florida under Billy Donovan, where they had a lot of success. He didn't play a ton. Like, Nolley obviously has more in his credentials in terms of like what has he actually accomplished at the college level. But I think James White would definitely be up there. But
that's not the fact
that we're even able to say, like, where does he fit in that pantheon? Like, Kyle Washington would definitely be up there. I'm sure there's others that I'm just not forgetting or just not remembering off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, the goal was to assess the roster in year one, figure out what needed to happen to progress it into year two. this kind of completes that puzzle for me. Like you're certainly better than you were when the season ended 2 months ago, or a month and a half, 6 weeks ago. And now you're looking at this offseason with a lot of hope, a lot of belief that this team's going to be able to take a step next year.
Yeah, I wonder what he's referring to when he says, "I'm ready to do what they said I couldn't."
I think it's just kids talking, being kids. I don't think there's any,
Unless he's talking about Penny saying, "You can't go to a conference rival." Okay, coach.
I mean, yeah. Whatever. But this is very big for the momentum of the program, right? Like, this is very big for Wes Miller as he continues to kind of get this train rolling downhill, because it gives the fans something tangible, right? Like, it gives the fans something to really latch onto and say, okay, like, this staff is going to be able to build this roster in a fashion that gives us confidence.
Well, and I think it also gives you hope when you look at some of the targets that they've placed for 23, for 24, what we'd imagine is what 25 and 26 will eventually look like. And it allows you to have a little bit more belief in, okay, maybe there is a chance. Even when you're talking about an Isaiah Collier, who you're going up against some of the best, and I mean the best in a
Right.
Michigan, in a Bruce Pearl, in a Mick Cronin, UCLA. So,
yeah, I mean, well, they get Collier, and that's a whole different conversation.
No, but I mean, this gives them.
I'm just saying. They get Collier. That's a whole different, because I think we're going to be talking about him as a top 5.
I guess my point is,
this class,
now that they've landed a big fish, though. There's you can't go back and say, well, they haven't done it. They haven't been able to close. They've closed.
Yeah, and this is one that, they got in on, I don't want to say late, but like he had already taken 2 visits. Cincinnati didn't seem like a factor. There were some connections here. Chad Dollar recruited him out of high school, and then recruited him again when he was transferring from Virginia Tech. I believe Dollar, the family's from Atlanta, and Chad Dollar is well known and from a historic basketball family in Atlanta. So I believe there were some family connections to Chad Dollar. Andre Morgan had connections to his high school coach. So they were able to kind of surround this one and say, look, give us a chance. Come take a visit. See what Cincinnati's like. See if it fits. Because from what I was understanding is the reason that there wasn't any traction in the beginning is because you wanted to get out of the American. But Cincinnati was able to work, even with that going against them, to get in there, get an audience, and get this kid committed. So that says a lot, because what's that tell you? The kid didn't want to play in this conference. He wanted out.
Can't blame him.
We want out. Like, we talked about that before. You can't at the same time say, I don't want to be in this conference, and then fault recruits that are like, me either. Like, yes, same. But you have to credit this coaching staff for getting him to open that door, to give them the chance. And then it went kind of from, I don't know, about this time last week that I started hearing rumblings that he was going to visit.
Yeah.
And then visited Saturday night, Sunday, into Monday morning, and then went back to Memphis. Wes and his staff were there Tuesday morning, bright and early, for an in-home visit to solidify things. And then I'm guessing before the staff got on the plane, he had posted that he was committing today at 5:00. That's usually a good sign if you're the team that's doing the recruiting. That's usually a good sign. No, Sean McNeil did not visit. He was supposed to last Thursday, and that got canceled. And some of that, I think Wes was under the weather, but also with Fennessy, you didn't necessarily want another, sub 6'4" guard added to the roster. You needed some height, some length, and think about this: you got McNeil shooting because now he shoots it just as good as Sean McNeil, but you got a guy that's 4 inches taller, longer, right, and every bit as successful over his 3 years so far in college. So,
okay, so give me a look at the way too early to predict, but we're going to try and predict anyway. Starting 5 for the first out of conference game in the eyes of Chad Brendel.
Oh man, let's see. I think you have to look at Fennessy as a starter, right?
I couldn't agree more.
They brought him in for his leadership, for his toughness, for his ability to help this team and play lockdown defense and be kind of the head of the snake. I think you have to look at Fennessy. Would you agree there?
I would be disappointed if he doesn't win the starting point guard job, if I'm being honest.
Correct.
DeJulius at the 2. Yeah.
At the 2, for sure. He that's his spot.
Here's where it starts to get interesting.
The 3 is definitely where it starts to get interesting. Nolly is a 3, wants to play a 3.
Mm-hmm.
But he's played some 4.
How much deeper are we next year at the 3 though, compared to last season?
Right. Well, just in like 2, 3, 4, like that.
Yeah.
What you got right there is, and that's what I want to get into as we talk about this and break this down a little bit farther. I think it comes down to at the 3, obviously John Newman and Landers Nolly. Newman, here's the thing though, Newman is such a team guy that I don't think he would be shook by still playing 20, 22, 25 minutes a night, but maybe not starting.
Isn't this what we wanted every time we talked about Newman last year?
Right. Have him come in, be a stopper. I think he's better on offense than he showed last year. I think he's battled through the sprained ankle and a couple other injuries throughout the season. The knee, we thought he blew out his knee, and he was back the next game.
But he should never be looked at as the second or third option on a team.
Right.
And again, this is a trickle-down effect of the pressure being taken off of all of the guys below Landers Nolly.
Right.
Everyone.
So I think there, you start Nolly, you have Newman right there off the bench as a spark and energy defense, kind of in your face, and allow him, like if you bump him back from 28 minutes to 22, 23 minutes and just say attack when you're out there.
Go hard.
Yeah. Like that's his game.
Mm-hmm.
Would Newman play the 2? I guess you could play them together 2-3 because Nolly gives you the offensive punch. We'll get into that. I'll get into what happens now that you've got a top of the rotation, because this is the biggest thing that we talked about at the end of the season. They don't need middle of the rotation help, right? They need top of the rotation help. And now they've got the top of the rotation help, and it makes things a lot more movable, a lot more workable in the middle. So we'll get to that in just a minute. 4, I still think Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
Or possibly, depending on, I think that depends. What happens at the 4, I think, depends on Vic.
Okay.
Because if Vic is ready to start at the 5, you can play Ezekpe at the 4. You're going a little big, but Ezekpe's got a mid-range game. Vic can shoot it from 3. He's got range to 3. We just didn't see much of it last year. And then you can bring, imagine having a second unit that goes Mike Adams Woods, Daniel Skillings, John Newman, Jeremiah Davenport, Odi Aguamo.
Where is Hensley in that?
Hensley right in there with the fours. Like, you got a lot of flexibility there. Josh Reed, who I think is a kid that's going to be ready to play. So now, all of a sudden, you're looking at a roster that you feel a lot more comfortable with.
There's so much you can do with this addition. And I don't know, it's like you can finally exhale again, right? Like, just
because you feel like you've got a high major roster.
We made it. We made it to the finish line.
Right?
There's no more transfer portal thread.
Should I'm going to leave it open just for the fun of it. But now you go into the summer, right? Mm-hmm. Iron sharpens iron this summer, because there's going to be dudes getting after it, fighting, battling, scratching and clawing for minutes. Yeah. I'm not assuming anything, Tom. I'm not assuming anything, because this stuff now gets to be earned. They get to go into the summer with a full roster of guys that are expecting to play. I mean, if there's a guy that's maybe not in, like, you want to get Sage in here and do right by Sage and build his body up and make sure that knee is 100% and get 15, 20 pounds on him, right?
Yeah.
But the other 12 guys, they came here to go. Like, they came here to play. So Wes has got a lot of competition. A lot of that daily grind, that daily competition in the summer is going to be healthy. It's going to be good for the program. It's going to be good for the kids. And now it's not just we have to play these guys. Like, these are our best guys, and we don't have any choice but to play them a lot, because we don't have many options behind them. And there's so much, like, that's what's going to make this fun when trying to break down, like, the minute distribution. I don't think the starter conversation is nearly as interesting as the minute distribution as we go into next year, right?
Well, we thought we were seeing a lot of guys rotating in and out of the game last season.
Right.
Who do you not play
right
next season?
Right. Well, and now you're just going to be able to come, like, that's the other big question for me. What's this do to the defense? Like, are they going to be able to press and do what Wes wants to do in terms of being able to mix defenses and being able to come at people in different ways?
Well, that was certainly one of the things we talked about last night on Pardon the Punctuation, where, we were just saying, like, how much of last season was the offense and defense that we wanted to run compared to what they're going to be able to do next year, now that they're starting to get guys in, as opposed to throwing a team together in 30 days.
Right. Yeah. The thing on, bye, Joe. We're not doing that in here. You're in timeout. We'll put somebody in timeout in the chat. That's a first. If you're going to come in here and just talk shit about players like that, you're not adding to the conversation. You're not being a useful member of the community. People are over here having good conversations in the chat about what they think as we're having this conversation. And if you're going to just come in and be like, that guy's trash, he deserves 2 minutes a game, get out. Get out. Sorry. I'm not playing that game. We're not doing it. We're having a nice civil discourse in the chat of people sharing ideas. You're not going to come in here and be an asshole. It's not how we do things. But no, it makes everything. And the funny thing is, like, you felt pretty good about Finney and Ezekpe, right? But this, like, okay, so here's the thing. You hit two singles. You hit a single and then a single that got the runner to third, right? And now you just hit a 3-run home run. Like, you drove all the runs in that were on base. Like, it was a calculated effort from Wes and the staff to kind of piece through this thing and just keep plugging away and keep plugging away. And you know, maybe Brandon Murray was like the big flashy toy that you wanted at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't get the big flashy toy, but you didn't go to your room and pout, right? You kept shopping. And then Landers Nolly comes back to you, you make it happen, you get the deal done, and now he's a Bearcat.
Yeah, I this is why we told everyone from the beginning, be patient. It doesn't have to be done in the first 48 hours.
And we didn't even make it to May 1st. We didn't even get to the cutoff. We didn't even make the deadline before they got their 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Patience.
This
Relax.
team is definitely better at all 3 roster spots.
Yeah.
This team is definitely better comparatively to last year.
Yeah.
And I just, again, I think it's time for everyone to just collectively exhale and be excited about your 2022-2023 Cincinnati Bearcats.
Do I have a player comp for Landers game? I hate, unless it's like right on. I hate doing player comps because I don't think it's fair to the kid. But I've got a scouting report. Like, first and foremost, when he was in high school, he had one of the more elite AAU tournament stretches I've ever seen. We were in Spartanburg, South Carolina, or it might have been Greenville. I can't remember. Greensboro. No, Greensboro's North Carolina. Wherever. It was somewhere in South Carolina. And for 3 days, he was just a flamethrower. And I'm calling my connections at UC at the time, and I'm like, look, go get this kid now. Like, I don't care what to figure it out. Go get this kid now. He is murdering people out here. Deep threes, drives to the rim. He could pass. He could rebound. He was getting it off the glass and taking it down the floor and finishing. I'm like, and nobody really knew of him at that point in time. And it's funny because I think I talked to Andre Morgan at that tournament because I was talking to another team site buddy of mine, and I was like, have you seen this Landers Nolly kid? And he's like, what'd you say? And I was like, he's like, who do you cover? And I'm like, Cincinnati. He's like, oh, no. We've been we've been trying to keep this one on the down low for a long time. Like, we've been trying not to get this one discovered. And I think it might have been Dredd. But obviously he blew up, ended up at Virginia Tech. But he's a 6'7" kid that can shoot it with deep range. He's got a quick release. He can score in the mid-range. He can get to the rim. He plays good defense. He rebounds. He's just a solid guy in pretty much everything he does. And he's just a guy that perfectly fits that jack of all trade, but especially that jack of all trade that can catch the ball and put it in the basket. Because this team from 3 last year, and think about how much like they want to shoot from 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's certainly going to be okay with that, right?
Yeah. I don't
let
think
it
he's gonna
fly.
have any issue there.
He's going to go steal the "Let It Fly" out of Luke Fickell's office and put it in his locker.
Well, and you talk about a guy who was frustrated last year about so many hands in the fire at Memphis, and if he's ready to be the guy, I think Cincinnati is ready for him to be the guy.
Well, yeah, because now you're going to have 2 guys that you can run action for. You're going to be able to run action for Dave. You're going to be able to run action for Landers, and feel pretty confident that at the end of the action, you're going to get a good look. Not all going to go in, but you feel like you're going to get a good look. So we're not going to see Dave out there dancing the mamba with the ball in his hands at the top of the key, trying to like get an inch of separation from somebody, because they'll have somebody to kick it to that can knock down shots.
Do you think that the green light for Davenport has just changed to a yellow light? Like, be cautious. Don't shoot it from the logo.
Shoot it from the logo. If he shot 31%, sure. He shot 37, almost 38% from 3.
Why not shoot 42 and not shoot it from the logo?
Shoot it from the logo.
Yeah.
He made quite a few of those from the logo also.
He made like 2.
And he shot like 6. So 33%. His percentage wasn't terrible from the logo.
Yeah.
You guys just like freak out. Like, what other options were there on offense last year than for him to shoot
there are
threes?
many more options next year.
Well, yeah, so he's not going to be forced into that. He doesn't.
That was my whole point.
He's not going to feel like if I don't shoot it, we're not going to score. So, but he's still going to shoot, let it fly. Like, don't make no mistake. My point is,
in all fairness,
it's not going to stop him from shooting.
At least will be longer to where we could potentially be rebounding some of those shots now as opposed to last season.
Correct. And Lily's right. If he's not shooting it from the logo, then he shouldn't be on the court. That's the value he brings to the offense, is stretching the defense. That's what he does. Is he a guy that can drive and finish? Is he a guy that can put it on the floor and shake people? No.
Agree to disagree, but appreciate the input.
He's right. But you can take less volume of those because now the offense is, and you're going to have Ezekpe, who's got a nice shot out to 15, 16 feet. You just like think of what you can do pick and pop with Nolly and an Ezekpe. And now you've got maybe Dave and Nolly you can run some 2-man game with, or Dave and Jeremiah you can run some 2-man game with Nolly waiting on the wing to shoot. Like it just gives you so many more interesting combinations, I guess is the word that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Not a good day for Memphis. I mean, Memphis already knew he was leaving. Not a good day for NC State.
It's not a good offseason for Memphis.
It's not going well down there. Well, but that's what happens when you're not honest, right? Like when you're not, when you don't shoot your players straight, right? Because they brought all these guys in that were now upperclassmen, and they were going to be like the foundation of the program for Memphis going into this year. And then all of a sudden, here comes Jalen Duren and Amani Bates. And like when they struggled at the beginning of the year, what did Petty say? He blamed it on the older guys.
Somebody's got to be a scapegoat. Ain't going to be coach's fault.
But what are the older guys going to do in that situation? Screw you, Coach, man.
That ain't it.
That ain't it. I'm just trying, I'm trying to do my thing. I'm trying to do what I'm good at. And all of a sudden, you're taking me out of my game. And that's where I think, like, when people think about playing like 4 out, okay, I saw Paul mention it earlier, and this isn't coming at you, Paul, but like somebody has to guard the other team's 4. And a lot of times, a guy like Nolly, that's not what he wants to do. Do you really like? I think in certain matchups, like if the other team plays a 4 out, you could play him more at the 4.
Yeah,
and you just kind of neutralize like what each team is. That now everybody's playing 4 guards and a big. But when you start getting into those teams, like with Fabian White, you think Landers Nolly wants to have to guard Fabian White or Vance Jackson? Or,
I'm glad Fabian White's gone.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like, well, look at the dude I showed you the picture of that's coming in to play the stretch 4 for Memphis.
Dwight Howard's little brother.
Yeah, he's coming in to play the 4 at Memphis. Like, Landers Nolly does not want to guard that. He can do it on offense because you can just play him as a guard on offense at the 4. That's fine. But it's who then has to check the opponent's 4. You don't want Newman guarding a 4, I don't think, do you? At 6'5", you guarding a guy 3 inches bigger and 20, 30 pounds heavier? That doesn't sound great, right?
I wouldn't want to do it. No.
So, status on Griffith. He commits on Sunday. We'll see you here, hopefully. I don't know. I like doing the people seem to like us doing these.
Yeah, this is the most live we've had since the subathon.
Right. So yeah, the people are excited. So we wanted to. I like in commitment situations like this. Paul Rashad Bishop was strong as an ox. Like that's not to say Nolly's not, but Bishop was a defense player, right? Like Bishop, that was his forte, was locking down the guy on the opponent that could score, like, the best scorer in the Big East. That's not Landers Nolly. Landers Nolly is a scorer. And Bishop was a one of one. Like, with that length and toughness and physicality that he had, he probably could have guarded a 5 if you needed him to. This is a good one. Leader in the clubhouse for top scorer next year with Landers. It's going to be a race between him and Dave. I think I go Nolly.
I think that this move made DDJ the favorite, though, to get to 2,000 first.
To 1,000, not 2,000.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, to 1,000 rather.
Maybe. I still think Jeremiah's going to be a double-digit scorer, I think, in this offense. So
I think that you're going to see the average points per game certainly uptick with this team compared to last year.
Yeah, well, there's just better offense. There's more guys that can score.
It's a better team top to bottom.
And hopefully not as many nights where they shoot 32% from 2 and 27% from 3.
If this team does that, something's gone terribly wrong.
Right? It's going to be close. Newman is more like Bishop. Yes, not as strong though. Like their mentality, the way they approach the game is definitely similar. But Rashad could push people around like Newman can't. Holy crap, this chat is flying.
That's what happens when you have triple digits people in a video.
Is it bad news for Skillings? I don't think so, because I think Dan right now is more slated to be a 2. So I think the minutes behind DeJulius are going to be there for him. The interesting thing will be, does DeJulius play a little bit of point? If you see him playing 20 minutes a game at shooting guard and maybe 5 to 7 minutes a game at point guard, then there's an extra 20 plus minutes that can be kind of allocated in that rotation between the 1, 2, and 3. I think Dan is probably going to be a 12 to 15 minute a guy player at the start of this process. Probably have to ramp him up like once the season gets started. But as things get moving, I think you're going to see him 12 to 15 minutes. And remember, this is something that coaches have to navigate, right? Because if you get a 4-star and you bring him in and you don't play him his freshman year,
see ya.
He's going to be playing somewhere else the following year. So you have to figure out that math. You have to. So what's the commitment board for 22? I think I can go in and handle that at some point in time. Last year, so many wasted possessions because they didn't have anybody that could score. It's hard to value possessions when you don't have many people that can put the ball in the basket. Can we just skip straight to Sunday? No, we got the NFL draft tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. Like, this is Bearcats heaven. When you go back to last week and you get Corey Kiner coming home, Braden Moore, 4-star commitment, Rob Finnessy committing, and then you pop forward to this week and you get the Nolly news today. You get 3 days of the draft coming up, and then you get Griffith on Sunday. If he picks Cincinnati, like, we're in a hell of a 2-week stretch. And now there's word that everything's going to be settled with Cincinnati getting into the Big 12 by next week.
Unless you're the commissioner of the AAC, at which point you're saying, hold up, we'll see.
Well, no, he said hold up because he had to, because it's not.
I know.
It's not done yet, right? Like, what he can't be like, yeah, it's done. There's still negotiating that's happening. But there's multiple people saying they're hearing that it should be done by next week, and that we should have something in early May.
last time we talked about it, when will a decision there? You might see a decision come out as soon as late spring, anywhere between late spring and midsummer.
Right.
And here we are.
Here we are. Will there be a rankings 2022 update? I think they're done. Usually after, and I don't know, there's usually one more. So maybe there is still one left. Because usually they update like after the McDonald's game and all that. And I haven't seen one since then. So there might be one more, but I don't expect much movement with Reed and Skillings. So I wouldn't stress it too much. Please do this Sunday for Griffith. If Rayvon commits, we'll be here. If he decides to be a Bearcat, you will get to spend your Sunday night with us. No, there's no chance that that's happening. Be redshirted. That just depends. God, these things are moving fast.
Yep.
Will the incoming freshman center be redshirted or does he play this year? It depends on how he looks when he comes in. My guess is he needs a year of development. But I mean, it's not out of the question. You know, if he comes in and gets with Mike and is able to work on that strength and get up to speed by the time the season starts, then it's an option. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, though, to see him redshirted. We'll see. Tweet user, relax. Tomorrow night's gonna be fun. Oh yeah. Isn't Reed a McDonald's All-American candidate? Let's all that you have to do to be a McDonald's All-American candidate when they release those lists is have your high school coach nominate you. So there's like 350 McDonald's All-American candidates when the list comes out. So don't put too much thought into that. Some Memphis fans saying the AAC will be better without UC and UCF. What are they gonna say? They're stuck. They can't get out.
It got easier for them anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, of course they're gonna be butthurt. Like, this went as poor as it could possibly go for Memphis.
We know that feeling.
Yeah, we've been there. This conference is going to be better without Louisville anyway. Rutgers, come on, we don't need them. Connecticut, get out. We did the same thing. I'm not going to put that up, but I see you, Jeffrey.
Hang on. I got you, Chuck. I got you.
What's he want to see? The puppy? Oh, celebratory urban artifact. I got you. Yeah, subscribe. Like, subscribe, all that stuff right there. Just hit the subscribe button. And what'd you go with?
The gadget.
Okay. Which one is that? Is that the raspberry and blackberry?
That's the raspberry blackberry.
Gotcha.
Yep.
One that you didn't think you'd like, but you liked?
Oh, no. That was the grapefruit seltzer is the one I didn't think I would like.
Gotcha.
This one I knew I liked.
Jack, what's your starting five looking like? We talked about it earlier, so when we're done, just go back and I think it's like 5-10 minutes into the show, and you can hear our thoughts. Like I said, though, I still think the minutes are what's more frustrating or more interesting to me than who is in the starting five. Mm-hmm. I think the minute distribution is a really, because one, we know Wes likes to keep guys right in that 27 to 29 minute range. He doesn't like guys being over 30. He thinks he can keep you fresh and keep you ready in that 27, 28, 29 minute range.
Compared to last year's roster too, I think you had a couple guys who, as the season progressed, either didn't play because injury, McGinnis, and then late getting his legs under him, or you had guys that shouldn't have been on the court. And looking at this roster, who do you have that shouldn't be on the court? So, right, it's gonna be a wild ride looking at how to your point about the minutes distribution, you thought you guys saw some hockey some hockey rotations last year. You might legit see 5 guys coming off for 5 guys coming on.
Somebody asked earlier about Maui. Yeah, they are in the Maui Invitational this year, and it's a loaded field.
Do you think that was a pitch though for these 3 guys that they got to transfer in? Like, how would you like to start your season in Hawaii?
Yeah, I mean, if it's,
I would have pitched it for sure.
Right. So you've got Arkansas, Arizona, Cincinnati, Creighton, Louisville, Ohio State, San Diego State, Texas Tech. Yikes. What's the easy game there?
Who?
What could you draw that you feel comfortable with in that situation? San Diego State and maybe?
I think every other team had Cincinnati circled.
Right.
I don't know
that you want to play them. Right.
I don't know that you have them circled anymore.
Well, I think you probably still do, because who else? You got to circle somebody. San Diego State's like, why are you hating on us? And it's like, I'm not. I gotta pick one. I don't think Louisville will be easy. I think Kenny Payne will have that roster at least decent by then.
I want to beat Ohio State.
Oh, you talk about a team that quietly is struggling right now. Go look at the Ohio State roster.
I want to beat Ohio State real bad.
Malachi Branham just declared too. Citadel is not involved in the tournament. Sorry. You're thinking of Chaminade, and every other year now, Chaminade sits out. So Chaminade, who is the host school, is not in the field this year. The field is literally these 8 teams: Arkansas, Arizona, Cincinnati, Creighton, Louisville, Ohio State, San Diego State, Texas Tech.
Here you go, Chab.
It's a big factor. Like I think if we only see a marginal improvement, that you still could be okay with Ezekpe at the 5 or Odie giving you some minutes at the 5. Like, I don't think you are doomed if Vic doesn't become, right away what we think. Yeah, Ohio State did get Sean McNeil, but look at their full roster though. Like, they lost a lot via either graduation, draft, transfer portal. So they might be a weaker link. Like, I think Holtman's a hell of a coach. I know people are saying his seat is heating up a little bit. I don't know that I totally understand it. I mean, it goes back to my favorite Mick Cronin line. They tie you to the tracks in the beginning of the season. By the end of the season, you got to find your way off. And Ohio State hasn't had this type of success that those people expect. And, that's what happens. Draft party at Chad's place. Draft party right here. Right here. Do it right here. Maybe we'll even bring a couple of you on. I'm talking about them, Craig, because they're in the Maui Invitational with Cincinnati. Come on. Top 25. I want to see what they look like. Like, we don't instantly know what things exactly look like when you get a bunch of new parts like this. I mean, still, think about it. There's 6 new players coming onto this roster. That's just under half of the roster.
We're familiar with what that can be like.
Right. Now, you feel better because the 7 guys you got back have been through it for a year.
Yeah.
And, you feel pretty good about that. But, yeah, I mean, you have to figure out how to work in the 6 new guys.
And we get to, the October, the start of practice in October and lead up to the season. So, what other questions you got, Aaron? You like any of them? What do you see?
Looks like the chat slowed down a little bit, although There's still a lot of you people here.
Don't call them you people. That's not
You
nice.
people. What do you mean, you people? Just scrolling through the questions here, trying to see. What do you expect to happen with Sage? Will he be redshirted or does he play this year?
I did that one while you were going to get your beer, I think.
All right, fair enough.
Thank you for that, Kevin.
Did you see that people are talking about how they passed on Nolly because he has too much academic work?
I saw that from the NC State people. Here's what I said on the board, and it's kind of my default for UC because I've experienced it over and over again. This compliance department is very, very good. And if they see something that's a problem that they can't overcome, they identify it and say, this isn't going to work. Nolly, from what I understand, has a little bit of work to do in terms of passing all his finals and graduating from Memphis. There might be a summer class that he needs to take before he gets here, depending on how the finals and all that stuff goes. But I don't pretend. This is one thing that drives me crazy about some folks in this business. I don't pretend to know what a kid's transcripts look like if I haven't seen them.
Why would you?
Right, but a lot of people do. A lot of people on the NC State side are awful confident in what his transcripts look like without having seen his transcripts. But I go back to this. What is John Cunningham's background?
Oh, he's a lawyer.
What did he work in college as he got into the college space? What was his job?
I can't answer that.
Compliance. He was a compliance department guy when he got into the college space. And
the more you know.
And Cincinnati has always had a very good grip on compliance and how it operates and what it looks like when they see a transcript and what that transcript means. Now, the kid has to do the work. There's no escaping that, right?
Correct.
But if the kid does the work and compliance has given the check to say that, as long as they do the work, they're good to go, then I don't have any reason to doubt that because they've never given me a reason to doubt that, right?
Yeah.
So, there was a guy a couple of years back, there was a guy for football, and I won't mention names because I don't want to disparage anybody, but it was, it was like, look, he's got this to do. If he does it, he's going to be fine. Well, he didn't get it done and ended up not at Cincinnati. He had to go somewhere else. But the path was very clearly laid out. Like, do this, check these boxes, you're in. And the NC, like other sites that get into that stuff, that's fine. I think it makes you look bad more often than not because if you haven't seen the transcripts, I'm not going to speak on something I don't directly. I've been kind of debriefed on what the situation is, but I haven't seen them, and so I'm not sticking my neck out on.
You're not a physicist, Chad.
Yeah, it's a great line I heard this weekend. I can just because I take a physics class doesn't make me a physicist. What a great line!
I thought it was
Tavion. Tavion got in.
I thought it was worth pulling this up as it actually lists all of the wingspans and just we've talked ad nauseum.
Those are heights.
Yes, sorry. But we've talked ad nauseum about how this team needed to get longer. And I know that people have been making the that's what she said jokes all throughout the chat on adding length and all of that. But this actually lists it so you can see this team looks different next year with this. This is what we wanted. This is what we talked about, what this roster should start to look like. And this looks significantly different and better than it did last year.
Yeah. What's going on with Isaiah Collier? I covered a lot of that on the board this week and over the weekend from the Nike EYBL. I can't give it all away for free, Tony. I got to save a little milk for the cow. I can't give it all away. That didn't make any sense at all.
Nope.
When does the national United team practice? Generally, what they'll do is they'll, from what I've seen with the other teams, some of the other TBT teams, is they might do like a little like combine or little like, everybody shows up in town a couple weeks before the event and gets together. But for the most part, they'll generally get here the week of or a week before and kind of do a little like boot camp, get everybody out and playing pickup ball and running together. Will I be there? Yeah, I would definitely count on me being there. I don't know if I'll be able to be at the games. I don't like going in that gym.
So I was going to look at this one too. So how many scholarships are going to open up next season? Potentially.
So
6? Potentially?
Well, you have DeJulius and Newman are for sure.
For sure.
Ezekpe and Fennessy would be for sure.
For sure.
Micah and Davenport and Nolly would all be
maybes.
They would be at the end of their normal eligibility, and they would have a COVID year. So 4, 5, 6, 7 potentially, and then if anybody doesn't like where they're at, like you're gonna have another big class. I think one more big class before you start to stabilize. But I mean, look, man, it's a transfer portal now.
I was gonna say, what's stability anymore?
you have to almost have to expect at least 5 or 6 guys are gonna need to be replaced every year. For a minimum, Eric. Yes, that's the low ball is 4 with what we just mentioned.
Everyone mentioning Odie being on a COVID year as well.
How quickly will we hear about the rest of the out-of-conference schedule? I don't know of anything yet. Like, my head has been spinning in 30 other different directions. That has not been something that has come up on my plate to date.
Well, we got to get through Sunday first before we worry about any of that. This is a busy week.
Yeah. Odie, COVID year 2. Yeah, I forgot Odie. So Odie, you would have Jeremiah, Micah, Odie, and Hensley. So 4 guys that are out for sure. 4 guys that would be on their COVID year. That's 8. That's where the 8 of 13 scholarship players will be seniors or super seniors.
I didn't get a haircut. I'm just not wearing a hat. Tweet user.
How's your burns? How's your farmer's tan? Are you doing all right?
I mean, the hands are still a little sunburnt, but I'm probably set to start peeling any day now.
Oh, I mean, I don't have a ton else unless we keep getting more questions. Psyched so far with Weston Company. Program's coming back to big time. Look forward to Sunday. Really appreciate us. We are not integral to the success. We're integral to your enjoyment of the success, right?
I don't know. We
don't want to take too much credit.
We just working.
Hensley wouldn't be in that group. Hensley's basically a sophomore.
He was the same class as Tari, if that helps put it in perspective.
Yeah. Vic still has 4 years left, technically, I think.
He's gonna be 35 and still here.
Right. Well, because he redshirted and he had the COVID year. So last year would be
his first year.
His first of 5, right? Because you get 4 and the red shirt, and he would have the COVID. Yeah. So he'd have 4 left. I can't wait until this COVID year thing is gone so I can stop doing
trying to figure do they have an extra year? I don't know if they have an extra. Just wait until you have some guys that were here during COVID, but most of your roster was not here during COVID, and you're having to keep track of who was here during COVID and who wasn't.
I was already doing that with the 2021 class, where I was like, oh, he's got a good. No, he doesn't have a COVID year. He was 2021.
Right.
He didn't get a COVID year.
Gonna be a mess.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
All right, so you got you and Dave doing a podcast tonight?
No, I think we're gonna hold off tonight. We're gonna need to fill a lot of time tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? So I don't wanna get to like 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow
So,
and be
the live show tomorrow will technically be a BCJ pod.
correct. The live show tomorrow will
without
be a
Dave.
BCJ pod. Well, Dave's gonna pop in from time to time. Mo's gonna pop in.
Okay.
After he gets done. He's on air until 10. But he's gonna hit us up from Frickers, he said.
Nice.
And
still better.
in between,
still better than the appearance C. Trent made on Late Night Reds, where he took he took the call from in the bar and then started to walk around downtown.
You get what you can get, I guess. You book a guest that's on the road, that's what you're gonna get.
Oh, he was in town. He wasn't on the road. He was at a bar in OTR.
Oh, well, never mind. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing, right? Fortunate enough to land Rayvon off and running for the Big 12. That's the whole point, right? Day one ready.
Yep, gotta be
day one ready. It might be one of the older teams in the country. JD has 2 years left, and he's like 23. You're right. Plus the 4 COVID seniors, the 3 other non-JD in their 4th year. Like, this is getting back to like Kyle's senior year when Kyle was 24, and like I used to joke about that team that BYU looked at our roster and they're like, "Dang, you guys are old." Yeah. There's no Mormon missions here. Just a lot of dudes that have been around a long time.
But the difference, though, is we're going to be really young the following year, but also talented.
Right. What's the odds Memphis gets into the Big 12? Not good. Not good, Bob. Not good, Bob. Wow. Every time we do these things, dude, they blow me away with like how wildly successful these live shows are.
Yeah. Well,
so we'll do more of them.
Music to my ears that we don't have to do another podcast in an hour. So,
yeah, I forgot to tell you guys that. I figured if we did this and we got the live show tomorrow night, like, let's pump the brakes on doing a full BCJ podcast tonight.
And then maybe we'll be back live with all you knuckleheads on Sunday.
Yeah. So, all right. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. Galactic Fried Chicken is the sponsor. Get all of you, your homework assignment this weekend. Get to Galactic Fried Chicken.
Get some.
15% off if you tell them pump it up at the counter, and they will get you taken care of. So there's 90 of you in here. I expect to hear of 90 orders at Galactic Fried Chicken by Sunday night when we meet back here, or I'll be really disappointed. Not mad, just disappointed. We'll see you next time. It is the Nightcap while the sun's still up, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
Afternoon delight. See ya!